So I'm going to show you a couple of images of people who I think are, who may or may not be style icons. And if you think they're style icons, I want you to put a thumb up. And if you think they're not, I want you to thumbs down. And that was quite complicated instructions, but I think you've got it. Okay, so let's try. Yeah, style icon. Cary Grant, yes, Cary Grant in North by Northwest in 1959. He's wearing a suit that is made, cut by Kilgore's French and Stanbury, the Savile Row tailors. And the suit had to be replicated 8 times for when he was shooting North by Northwest, because if you know the film, he's constantly ducking under crop dusters and clinging from Mount Rushmore. And it was replicated by Quintano of Beverly Hills. And in the scene in the hotel room where he takes off his suit, you can see the label and it says Quintano. And the interesting thing about Cary Grant for me is that his father was a tailor's cutter, and he had a very fraught relationship with his father, which I write about in my book, and I will tell you more about at some point. So yes, Cary Grant, style icon. Oh, Madonna, style icon. I mean, I think she's going for a slightly deranged pirate phase at the moment, but I like it very much. She's a very important person to me. Janelle Monáe, yes, reinvented the tuxedo for women and non-binary identifying people in the 21st century. She's done something amazing for the idea of masculinity, which she seems to have contoured by appropriating or claiming the suit. Boris Johnson. I find it very hard to look at this picture because his knees look, there's something so distressingly vulnerable about his pink knees. But this is a very daring ensemble of fleece and surfer shorts. A man with the courage to mix a striped beanie hat, dashingly askew, with crumpled florals. If he can't bring about Brexit, who can? I mean, look, he can carry this off. At the moment we're talking about something called shamble chic. Boris is the poster boy, if you like, of an idea of shamble chic, which I think the logic of which is that you dress like a walking whoopee cushion. So this is a trick quiz. Of course, everybody is a style icon, but I did want to narrow in on Boris Johnson because we don't talk about him enough. But also for me, he's indicative of a certain kind of analysis about fashion that's happening at the moment. And the argument of my book is that we need to take a really serious look at what we wear. And many people take that to mean something more facetious than what I mean. They mean analysing what politicians wear. And that seems to me a very stupid and uninteresting way to talk about clothes. So you will have heard the conversations about Theresa May wearing leopard spotted suede heels and whether that compromises her feminist ideals. How boring. Or is Angela Merkel appropriating masculinity or mimicking masculinity by wearing these blocky, boxy suits? Is Jeremy Corbyn an inappropriate leader because he wears a duffel coat or whatever that is, an anorak, I think, to a really important event? Is Melania sending us messages through her coats? All of those analyses, I think, are rubbish. I think they're part of a bigger dead cat strategy where spin doctors are throwing things on the table to distract us from what's really happening in the world. And you should ignore that. And what I'm going to try and talk about, do you see how I coordinated the big cross with my dress today? I really gave this some consideration, but I want you to ignore that version of fashion and politics. I want to suggest a more existential, a more emotional, as well as intellectual account of clothes. I'm going to try and explain what that might mean. Despite the fact I've dismissed that political analysis of fashion, I don't want you to think that there isn't a politics of fashion. It seems to me absolutely true that in moments of crisis, what we wear can feel like the most trivial of concerns. But it seems to me so curious, if you think about it, that so many of our most heated cultural disputes are circling around the right to wear particular clothes in particular circumstances. So just think about the conversations we're having at the moment about trans identity. A significant part of that conversation is about the right to wear dress or in seemingly or not gender-specific ways. Or think about the veil and the hijab. Boris Johnson, of course, said that women in burqas look like letterboxes. The burqa and the hijab have become a shorthand for Islam, and we've been in a near constant state of anxiety for many years now about the place of the veil in Europe, or think about conversations about street harassment and rape blame, how often and regularly, how routine it is for the conversation to end up talking about the length of hems and the clothes that women are wearing in some of the most vulnerable moments of their life. So what I'm trying to say here, by setting out those examples, is that in clothes, some of our most serious cultural crises are happening. In fact, there is even a way in which I think you could argue that the most serious questions about sex and gender and religion and violence are happening in clothes. So if anybody ever tells you that to think about clothes is frivolous or vain, you can rebuke them. Things are happening in the way that we dress, and it's time we attended to it more carefully. And my book tries to do that. It tries to take a philosophical approach to clothes, because our clothes have always been there. Our clothes have been witness to all the things that we do and desire, and we have never regarded them with great seriousness. So I wanted to start my conversation with you with a question. Why have we come to think that clothes don't matter? And I've got a number of suggestions as to why that might be. First of all, fashion seems deeply antithetical to philosophy. Philosophy is a discipline or a body of work that wants to be universal, and fashion seems exclusive. Philosophy is about lasting truths, and fashion seems to be about fads. Philosophy purports to be about what's deep inside. Fashion seems to be about mere surfaces. Philosophy is concerned with the serious realm of ideas. Fashion seems like the most frivolous realm of appearances. So you can see quite how oppositional these two realms are. The American essayist, poet and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, apparently, this is apocryphal, I've never been able to find the quote, but it sounds like him. He said that one reason to dress well is that dogs respect it and will not attack you in good clothes. And anybody who's ever known a dog will know that's not true. If you've got a hairy Labrador and had muddy paw prints all over your favourite dress or suit, then you'll know that's not true. Dogs don't respect your clothes. But Emerson is part of a larger philosophical tradition which expresses skepticism about clothes. And this is to do with the problem of appearance, the idea that appearances are deceptive. Now, in philosophy, this is a slightly technical, boring, it seems to me actually, conversation. Appearances belong to a really tiresome technical debate about the limits of knowledge and the nature of perception. It is like the question of appearance is almost always disconnected from dress in philosophy. And if you know the discussion of in Plato's Republic of the allegory of the cave, Plato is puzzling over how we distinguish between the appearance of reality and reality itself. Plato ends up exhorting us to seek truth and to be mistrustful of dissimulations, of disguises, of appearances that keep us from truth. After Plato, we get Kant, who's also concerned with appearance, and he thinks of it as a philosophical problem, which is about the relationship between the reality of things as they really are and the limited ways in which we perceive them. It's a very potted history of Plato and Kant, but I want to set up this idea that the big hitters in philosophy begin by telling us doubt appearances, that truth is naked, and be wary of disguise, suspicion, or the dressing up of reality. And the thing that interests me about that is that those long, hand-wringing debates about appearance rarely think about what it might mean to live in the world and look a particular way, what it might mean to walk through the world in a body that is dressed and appear to other people, to present ourselves to other people. And that's what I'm trying to think about, a version of philosophy that doesn't pretend that being interested in material or phenomenological life is unimportant. It's not. It's the single most important thing of all, it seems to me, that we have bodies, that we stand in front of each other, that my cotton sleeve will rub against your linen shirt later this afternoon. That means something to me, it seems to me, and it warrants our inspection.
For more debates, talks and interviews, subscribe today to the Institute of Art and Ideas at IAI TV.